Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news, updates, debates and my opinions. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, smash a like on the video as well. It does massively help me out. Nearly made that mistake of leaving the mic nowhere near my face, which isn't great for anyone. Emilio, Vivi Vlad, Ross Lawman, Sharmarke, Sportcat already in the chat. We love to see that. The people that are here early doors. Lots to get into tonight and not a lot of time. I'm going to jump off at 7. So we've got half an hour. Then I'll be jumping over to the Top 6 show on the Football Terrace. But there is a lot to get into. We'll go through everything that Mikel Arteta spoke about in his press conference today, or at least the interesting parts of it. Also want to talk about what our best 11 is. Everyone is back pretty much. And so some big decisions need to be made. And, just on the off chance that Mikel Arteta is watching, we'll let him know what our thoughts on that are. Of course, we will have Guess the Gooner and a little bit of chat about just some stories that are floating around the internet today. Ethan Udall, good to see you. Apologies about missing the last few streams. Been mega busy, but I always watch back. Thank you very much. And again, if you're watching this on catch up, you're a legend, and I massively appreciate it. Peter Baker, good to see you. Kevin, Seven Camuels, Saka, Joseph, Jordan, good to see you all. Will Timber rotate with White? I think that's something that we could see, yeah. I think, we could see Timber rotating with White, Timber rotating with, Kivior or whoever it is that's at left back. I think there are a lot of options. And the reality is, before we come on to that best 11, the reality is, I don't think the way that last season, remember there was that one starting 11 we had that played, 8 games together and we won all 8 and we were like, that's our best starting 11. It was Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel Zinchenko, Partey, Xhaka, Ødegaard, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli. And we all knew that's the 11. I don't think we'll have that in the future. I think there will be 13, 14, 15 players that we, in some positions, rotate between, depending on the game. Because I still think there are games where Zinchenko is our best option at left back, but 100% there were, games where it could be Tomiyasu or Kivior. I think there are games where our midfield options will change. So, I do think times have changed since that. And that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. When you don't have a completely predictable starting 11, where if any of them are injured, you're losing out, I think that's a really good thing. Anyone seen the irony that Neville is calling on strategic investment for Salford? Essentially, they're becoming Glazers of Salford after complaining about the Glazers for the past 10 years. Yeah, it is fun. It's almost like, not that I would stick up for any football club owners, but it's almost like it isn't that easy to do it. It's almost like most football clubs lose money. Rory, it is good that you have to actually choose, isn't it? Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. The fact that we can sit here and 100% we will not all agree. We all agreed last year what our best starting 11 was, which means that the drop-off from every single one of those 11 to the next best player was too big. We should be in a position where we argue about what our best starting 11 is. That's how it should be. Big Neville, the melt. When everyone's fit, got to be Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, Partey, Rice, Ødegaard, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli. I hear it, and we'll get onto that. We will get onto that. But first, we will crack on with what Arteta spoke about today in the press conference. I think that works better. So, mainly on fitness, on Thomas Partey's fitness, he had a session before the last game, and now he's done 2 consecutive sessions. So he should be part of the squad on Monday. And that's quite an important word, should. Because then when he talks about Zinchenko and Tomiyasu, he said those ones are possible, but we have to wait and see, especially with the last 2 sessions that we have on Saturday and Sunday. If that's the case, they might be available on Monday. So Partey is a should. Zinchenko and Tomiyasu are a might. On Gabriel Jesus, I assume he is fit enough to be in the squad because he was asked if Gabriel Jesus is ready to start. And he said, well, he's fit enough, but knowing how long he will last is something different, probably. We didn't want to take any risks after the result that we had against Newcastle. Obviously, we need him fit. He's a massive player for us, and we want to make sure that now we load the players in the right way. So that's interesting. He is arguably fit enough to start, but he wasn't even, he wasn't involved against Newcastle. So, I mean, it's good. And there's another bit. I'll see if it's in here. If it's not, I'll go and pull it up where he talks in more detail about Gabriel Jesus' injury and what it actually is, because it's not what, at least it's not what I thought it was. And it might not be what you thought. He spoke about the challenges of Sheffield United. I'll be honest, it's not that interesting. They're not really a challenge, no offense to them. He asked about how big of a month March is for us. He said, first of all, depending on what happens for us on Monday and the rest of the results, that would have an impact. The only thing you can do is focus on the next game. Asked about if Jurrien Timber will be in the squad on Monday. Obviously, we've seen him in training. There was a clip that went out today of him tackling Saka. So he is in, semi-contact physical training sessions, which is really good. He said Jurrien is not close enough to be part of the squad on Monday, but on the speed of his recovery, he said it's been a joy. All of the physios, the medical staff are really happy with his attitude and his commitment, especially with the way that things have gone. It's not a coincidence, the way he applies himself, how determined he is, his willingness to put every effort into everything that is demanded to do. He's in a really good place. Now we have to manage him because it's the last stage of that difficult injury and it's complicated, but I think he's on the right way. And he was asked about what we've missed without him. He said his leadership, his versatility, the quality that he has to play in different positions, especially in an attacking phase. I think that's really interesting that he's talking about Timber, and the biggest thing we've missed from Timber is him in the attacking phase. I think that tells you a story about what Arteta had actually got planned this season before that Jurrien Timber injury. So I do think that's quite interesting. He was asked about the gap in March with the Chelsea game being postponed. He said it is what it is. Unfortunately, he didn't say we're going to go to Dubai, so that's a shame. Although I think we might have a friendly. Yeah, he was asked if there might be a friendly. Players would have different demands. The majority of them would have international matches as well and international training sessions. So I don't think it's going to be a case of needing more minutes. See, it's interesting because players like Timber needs minutes, but we'll see. And then he was asked about the fact that we do go 3 weeks without a game ahead of Man City. He said the difference is 3 or 4 more days. We're going to have 2.5 or 3 weeks without a game. I don't think it's going to change the world. Good attitude. He was asked, and this was, so it is in there. This was about Gabriel Jesus' current injury and if it was because the operation previously, the big operation, didn't go to plan. He said, no, that didn't happen. It was the result of what happened when he got a knock in another area that caused a different kind of injury. It wasn't related to the first one. And then he had a little niggle and it was a muscle issue that kept him out for another 10 days. So, yeah, it's been quite a few different things. And then he was asked if Jesus will have to go under the knife again, have another operation. He said, no, I think that issue was resolved as much as I know. Then he was really glowing. I won't read all through it, but he was really glowing of Jakub Kiwior stepping up. And then he was asked about Tomiyasu having an injury setback. And this was good because this was kind of what we all thought with the Asia Cup and everything that happened with him playing the whole of the Asia Cup and then coming back and not playing. He said in the last game that he played with Japan, he felt something and he was out. We expected him to recover a little bit quicker, but he was struggling at the beginning of the recovery, and we decided to extend that period to be more certain because he's a player we really need. We're short, and we can't risk him being out for months. So, and he also said it wasn't. He thinks it's slightly different to the injury he had in September, so it wasn't the same thing. So, all in all, I think all of those are quite positive things because, again, he's basically saying with Tomiyasu, like, we've intentionally slowed down his recovery or delayed his recovery to make sure he's absolutely fine. And I think it's brilliant that we've been able to do that with all of these because of the way we've been playing. We've been able to make sure they are truly fit when they come back, not taking risks and then getting bigger injuries with them. So all of that press conference, I would say, is good. I would say it's all very good. When do you think Timber will start coming off the bench again? I think it'll be after the international break. I don't think he'll be in the squad against Sheffield United. I think he might be on the bench against Brentford, but won't come off the bench. And then I think after the international break, we've got City. Maybe he gets half an hour there, but that would be a high intensity game for him to come straight back into. So look, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm relatively not bothered, I would say, at this stage about Timber coming back. I don't think we're in a position where we're like, oh, God, get him back. I don't think it needs to be like that. And if we see him get a few minutes here and there, I think that's fine. It will be interesting to see how Arteta manages his high level of squad depth that we have for the first time this season. Well, this is the thing. Players are going to have to drop out of the squad. For me, I think Eddie and Nketiah. I'm really interested actually to see once Timber and Tomiyasu and Zinchenko are back, one of those three I don't think gets into the squad on a match day. And that'll be really interesting to see who that is. Ramsdale, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Jorginho, Partey, Smith Rowe, Jesus, Eddie, Nelson as a bench in the coming weeks. Possibly, but I think if you look at that bench, Ross, you haven't got Trossard and you haven't got Havertz. Well, one of them will start and one of them. So for me, Nketiah won't make it because let's say you start Havertz, that would be Trossard instead of Eddie. And then you've also got to figure out potentially where Fabio Vieira goes, or does Fabio Vieira get in? Unless maybe in yours you've got Havertz in midfield actually and Trossard through the middle. But yeah, it's great. It's a great problem to have. It really is a great problem to have. If we were fully fit, unlikely to ever happen. IMO, 2 of Nelson and Nketiah and Vieira aren't in the matchday squad. Yeah, you're right. Well, this is the thing. Two of the three. Yeah, basically, there are going to be 3 major. So Cedric and El Neni won't be in it. I'm fairly certain about that. And then there will be 3 more. I think one of them will be a defender, one will be an attacking midfielder, and one will be Eddie and Nketiah, I think. But it's interesting. And this just shows like we are literally going to have to sell these players in the summer. Which means we're going to go and make some decent money. In terms of other odd bits of news here and there, David Ornstein's been talking about Arsenal today. He said he is expecting a very, very busy summer window at the Emirates, which is exactly what we want to hear. And he said a striker is the main focus in the summer for Arsenal, with Benjamin Sesko, Victor Gyökeres, and Evan Ferguson admired amongst others. So he's not saying that they're the only 3, but they were the 3 that kind of jumped out at him. And Evan Ferguson, for me, is the interesting one in that group because, Sesko and Gyökeres have both kicked on this season. Evan Ferguson has regressed from last season. So that one is an interesting one. Didn't mention Victor Osimhen. We'll see. But that's an interesting bit of news. And then another bit of news, and this came from... So this was Arsenal are set to open new contract talks with Jorginho. The starting offer is expected to be a 1-year deal plus 1-year option. It's come from a guy called Mark Mann Bryans, who truthfully is not a journalist I'm particularly aware of. So I don't know whether he's, accurate or not. But it wouldn't surprise me. In all honesty, it wouldn't surprise me if we do. We can extend his current contract by 1 further year, which is almost certainly what the plan is to do in the summer. What this would do would basically be increase that by a year. So he'd be on a new contract where he was there for a year. So he could still leave the following summer, but we'd have another option to extend it by another year, which would be smart. It really would be smart because if he's still capable of performing at the level that he is this season, in a way where he's not, there's not the physical demand of playing twice a week on him, I don't see why you wouldn't want that sort of player in and around the squad. He's a brilliant senior squad player. So it makes sense to me. And ultimately, otherwise, we're going to need to go out and buy 2 midfielders anyway. So that's exciting. That is exciting. Sesko excites me. The other 2 kinda. See, of those 3, of Sesko, Ferguson, and Gyökeres is the one that excites me the most. But Osimhen is what we need. Don't care if he isn't proven in the PL like Tony, but he is a proven winner, which is what we need. I don't disagree. Anyway, let me bring up this, which is how we're going to figure out what our best 11 would be if everybody is fit. So I built this out kind of, right? But I've left some gaps. So I've put in the players that I think are guaranteed starting lineup players next season. So we've got Raya in goal. We've got Saliba and Gabriel as the 2 centre-backs. Rice as the sort of DM. Ødegaard, Saka. And then I've put Martinelli. There are some people who wouldn't have Martinelli there. But I think the big question marks are at right back and left back, centre forward, and that left centre mid. And so let's go right back, right? I assume most people still think this will be Ben White next season. That's my assumption, if we don't go out and buy someone. But we're going to do this based on the current squad that we have available. So everyone fit, Ben White at right back? Who disagrees with having Ben White at right back? Ben White is a certainty. White at right back, Timber at left back is the most versatile. Let me see if I can get a poll up on YouTube. Hang on. This is I'm really pushing the technical boundaries. I'm pushing my technical limitations here. Let's see if I can do this. How does one start a poll? Can I do this? I can start a poll. Right back. So, White, Timber, Tomiyasu. Oh, look at this. This is sensational. Start poll. There should now be a poll in the chat. You have 1 minute to vote on this poll. Honestly, Timber right back, Tomiyasu left back moves me the most. Interesting. So no space for Ben White in yours. Timber right back, Tommy left back. Timber left back, White right back. Interesting. Has to be White. No one else can offer what he does. Evening, George Christodoulou. Good to see you. So currently, 52 votes in. We're looking at 85% Ben White. 85% Ben White, 13% Jurrien Timber, and 2% Tomiyasu. So we're going Ben White. We're going Benjamin White at right back. That is decided. Ben White, it ended up on about 84% for Ben White. Fair enough. So then the question, and this is a big question now, is left back. Because there's demand almost for everyone. So now we're going left back. And the options here, you've got Timber, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, and Jakub Kiwior. Now, I would say, based on the fact that Jurrien Timber hasn't made it in at right back, the feeling is that he'd be at left back. That is my putting my colours. What's the phrase? Pinning my colours to the mast, pinning my colours to the flag, something like that. My flag on I would say Jurrien Timber is what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. I would say Jurrien Timber. I think the best back four for us right now is White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Jurrien Timber. And it would seem that the majority so far agree with that. All are solid, but Timber is the most versatile. I agree. And I am, in the same way that someone else just said, I am moved by the fact that Mikel Arteta has been talking about how much we missed the attacking side of Jurrien Timber. Because look, the last month has been brilliant for goal scoring. The last 2 months has been brilliant for goal scoring. But I haven't forgotten the period before that where we were struggling. And I do think that a big part of that was that we were missing Jurrien Timber. So look, 80% of you have gone for Jurrien Timber, 13% Tomiyasu, 5% Zinchenko, and 2% Kiwior. And you feel like, the job that Kiwior's done has been brilliant, but I don't think any of us kind of For me, Jakub Kiwior is Gabriel's backup, and a versatile player that can come in at left back if, like has been recently, it's been required. Zinchenko at 5%, that's a very interesting one. Below Tomiyasu, below Jurrien Timber, does that in some ways show where Zinchenko's sort of future at Arsenal is? Because if he's only getting 5% of the vote, and he's of all of those players, he's the only one really that has one position, and that's left back, assuming that he's not going to come into our midfield. VV Vlad's fuming. VV Vlad said that there is massive Zinchenko disrespect. He's still in our best 11 at IMO. Now, I would argue that in certain games, Zinchenko makes our best 11. I would say there are games where Zinchenko is massively important. Some people are saying Zinni in the left 8. Interesting. But Timber wins it. So we will put in Jurrien. Oh, God, I dragged the left back off the pitch. Well, he is off the pitch at the moment because he's injured. Jurrien Timber. There you go. Left centre mid. Now, how many players do we put into this poll? Because there's a lot of them. There are a lot of players to put into this poll. But for the left centre mid, I would say the main candidates are Partey, Jorginho, Havertz, Fabio Vieira. In fact, I can't do that. Okay, I'm just going to say Vieira / Smith Rowe because I can't do more than 4. So Partey, Jorginho, Havertz, Vieira / Well, some of you are saying Zinny. I'm just going to be honest. Mikel Arteta's not playing Zinny in the left 8. That's just, in my opinion, if it was a thing that he could do, he'd have already done it by now. And we've never seen it. I know he does it for country. I don't think Mikel Arteta sees it. I think Mikel Arteta is quite stubborn. So, executive decision, Zinchenko's not an option. Executive decision, Zinchenko is not an option. Partey 6, Rice 8. See, I would agree if it wasn't for the way that Partey, that Jorginho and Rice have been playing recently. And Declan Rice has made quite a big thing talking about how he is definitely the 6 and he's going to be the 6. And Arteta sees him as the 6, which makes me think that Partey is going to play a slightly different role to what he's done previously. And that we'll see Partey kind of doing what Jorginho has been doing, which I think he'll be excellent at, by the way. Havertz has been so crucial for us. It's crazy not to think that he starts. Well, there is still the potential that he does start in this team. Anyway, the poll is coming to an end. 57 votes in. Partey, 53%. Jorginho, 12%. Havertz, 26%. And Smith Rowe, 9%. So Thomas Partey gets in. Havertz, actually, the second favourite there. I guess because people see kind of Jorginho as just a slightly less mobile version of Partey. So Thomas Partey is in. That leaves us with the centre forward. And for me, the options for the centre forward are Jesus, Havertz, Trossard. I mean, I'll put him on there because he's still at the club, and Eddie Nketiah. So the centre forward, do you go Jesus, Havertz, Trossard, or Eddie Nketiah? Unless Eddie Nketiah is in the chat, I don't think there's going to be any votes for Eddie Nketiah, but we'll see. I think this is our starting 11. Will be rotated a lot. I think that's the big thing, right? As you're voting, I think the big thing here is, as much as we can say this is, whatever 11 we land on as the best 11, I do think there's a legitimate argument that it will be rotated and it can be rotated. And the way that these, this one, Jesus is currently winning it, but he's only on 50%. And I think that says it all. Eddie Nketiah is on 3%. So I assume Eddie Nketiah is in the chat and he has voted for himself. Eddie, fair play to you. Havertz is on 33%. Trossard's on 12%. So it does look, and I don't know if I'm surprised by that or not, that Jesus has won the vote after 70 votes. It's the closest one that we had, but Jesus wins the vote. So there you go. Do we all agree that Martinelli's at left wing? I'll end that now. Now, obviously, look, theoretically, we could have done this differently because, for example, if you wanted Timber at right back, you're probably then going to put Timber at left back. If you wanted, Havertz in the midfield, maybe, But ultimately, I think that is a relatively representative. I think that's a relatively representative 11 of the majority of the stream. So Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, Rice, Partey, Odegaard, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli. And by the way, what an 11 that is. And then you look at the depth that we've got beyond that. So you've got that starting 11, and then you've got Trossard, Havertz, Jorginho, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko. Like that is Fabio Vieira and Emil Smith Rowe as more sort of creative options. That is This is crazy. You know, this is crazy. This is what we want. This is what we need. And it is very exciting. It is very exciting. Anyway, we're running out of time, and we still got to do Guess the Gooner. So it is time for Guess the Gooner, the game where I give you 5 clues about an ex or current Arsenal player, and you have to guess who that player is in the chat. First person to get it correct gets the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. So get your fingers on your keyboards. And I've got to rattle through this quite quickly. Some of the big hitters are in the chat. Ross Lawman's in here. VV Vlad's in here. We did hit 130 viewers as well. Can I just say, before we do this, a massive, massive thank you for the way the streams have been growing, the support I've had. We've been getting way more subscribers. I do massively appreciate it. If you can smash a like on the video whilst you're here, it does help me out. You're all absolute legends, and my motivation to keep doing this has never been higher. I'm loving it. Anyway, enough of that soppy bollocks. Guess the Gooner. This player scored 23 goals in 297 games for Arsenal. They scored 23 goals in 297 games for Arsenal. They won 2 FA Cups and 2 Community Shields. They won 2 FA Cups and 2 Community Shields. They joined Arsenal from the Bundesliga in 2016. They joined Arsenal from the Bundesliga in 2016. They made their senior debut for FC Basel. And they are unbeaten in all competitions this season. They are unbeaten in all competitions this season. Of course, a load of you have got it now, but let's go and find who got it first. And it was... It was Sportcat who got it correct with Granit Xhaka. Congratulations to Sportcat. It was indeed Granit Xhaka. God, what a man. ASH was second. MM was third. Joseph Phelps was fourth. And that's Joseph Phelps again. Foot FC was fifth. So there you go. Congratulations. Congratulations to Sportcat. Big win for Sportcat against some of the heavy hitters today. It was indeed Granit Xhaka. And then to wrap it up with the Guess the Non-Gooner for today, let me just go and find it. Today's Guess the Non-Gooner, I'll give you the career path, the full career path of a player who has not played for Arsenal, and you have to guess who that player is. So this player started their career at Plateau United. They went to Lynn. They went to Chelsea. They went to TJ Taylor. They went to Middlesbrough. Okay, well, we'll get rid of you. Thanks for coming. What a knob. Plateau United, Lynn, Chelsea, TJ Taylor, Middlesbrough, Trabzonspor, Stoke City, and Kuwait FC. Plateau United, Lynn, Chelsea, TJ Taylor, Middlesbrough, Trabzonspor, Stoke City, Kuwait SC. And the first person to get it correct, he's back. It was VV Vlad with John Obi Mikel, who was in the news for something today. I'm not sure what it was, but I remember seeing his name today. VV Vlad was first. Fizzy was second. George Christodoulou was third. Emilio was fourth. And Vilgot was fifth. Congratulations to the winners. That was a great stream. Maybe I think we'll go into more discussion about that best 11 on tomorrow's stream. I'll be back tomorrow, 6:30. Make sure you're there. But thank you for tuning in. Please do subscribe before you leave if you're not already. Smash a like on it, and come over to, if you want to, if you're free, if you've got nothing to do, come over to the Top 6 show on the Football Terrace, where I'll be joining them for the next hour. But until then, like I said, I'll be back tomorrow. Have a fantastic evening. Goodbye.